The following program is brought to you by Arlington Community Media, where we tell your story.
This is ACMi News, recognized nationwide as the first place winner of the 2023 Hometown Media Award for News Access.
The unprecedented and bloody attack on Israel civilians by Hamas. It's a tragedy that has stunned the world, and its ramifications are far-reaching. ACMi News gets reaction from Rabbi Avi Bukiet from the Center for Jewish Life right here in Arlington. Town meeting gets underway over the much-anticipated amendments to the zoning bylaws. The town moderator says he's prepared just in case the spirited debate gets out of hand. And get the lederhosen out of mothballs. It's time for oom-pah music, bratwurst, and draft beer. Oktoberfest went without a hitch on Saturday, and get this, it didn't rain on a Saturday this year. New England. Yeah, we're stunned too. ACMi News starts right now.
From McLennan Park to Spy Pond, from Poets Corner to the Mystic River, we have Arlington covered, giving you stories that count from people who care. Reliable, trustworthy, dependable. This is the nationwide award-winning ACMi News.
In less than 2 weeks, the world was turned upside down. This after the brutal surprise attack by Hamas on Saturday, October 7th, resulting in war in Israel. Hi, I'm Summer Maxwell.
And I'm James Milan. Needless to say, it's a conflict that has caused anguish worldwide, and Arlington is no different. As of this broadcast, at least 1,500 people have died. 3,400 others have been injured in Israel after Hamas launched an unprecedented attack by air, land, and sea. In Gaza, more than 3,000 people have been killed in retaliatory strikes from Israel, with another 9,700 injured. And of course, those numbers are expected to climb. Rabbi Avi Bukiet is the director and co-founder of the Center for Jewish Life here in Arlington. He told us earlier this week his anger is directed at Hamas and Iran, not the Palestinian people.
First of all, your thoughts obviously on the tragedy that unfolded October the 7th. And how does that change things for you as far as trying to guide people who are seeking peaceful fulfillment and spiritual guidance?
What happened on Saturday, October 7th, sent shockwaves through the community. Many people in our community, right here in Arlington and the Belmont area, have family and very good friends who were part of the tragedy. Some people who have been taken hostage by Hamas are people that we know personally of. So this tragedy hit home. It's not something that's in the past. We're dealing with it currently at this very moment. We actually just found out there was somebody in our community whose best friend was missing for over a week, and they just found his body, and they are going to release it for allowing him to be buried. But this is an ongoing situation, and although we're thousands of miles away from the state of Israel, this is something that has, our entire community feels that they lost brothers and sisters, and our entire community feels in utter shock and grief, and just it's hard to sleep, Jeff. Not many people in our community have slept over the past 10 days.
What can people in Arlington do to help out?
My message has been clear. Besides for sending charity to these different organizations, which you could go on our website and check out the different charities, besides for sending supplies, which although at this point El Al is asking us to stop sending because they don't have enough cargo space, which is a good problem.
Yeah,
and we're hoping they could open up more. I say the most important thing is for us to stand up, and I've been telling my non-Jewish neighbors, now's not the time to be quiet. Stand up and say, you stand with Israel. You stand with the Jewish people in Israel who are going through an unspeakable tragedy at this time, a tragedy that most of us have never seen in our lifetime befall the Jewish people. This is important for every single person to stand up. And when you see something on social media, if you see something from our universities, sadly, the universities have hedged and have not been able in their warped way of intellectual brightness, they have not been able just to say it as it is, which is, this is wrong. this is wrong. They can't say it. But if they hear from the local people, the local community, many of us over here are professors and doctors that work in the hospitals, work in the universities here, say it out loud and say loud and clear, was wrong, and we stand for Israel, and Israel must go ahead and make sure that Hamas does not exist anymore. That is the ultimate thing that we could do from thousands of miles away, because every single time we stand up and say what we believe, that helps. Those little supports make one large support and one large rallying cry.
Again, if you wish to help out the Chabad Center for Jewish Life in Arlington, just go to their website, jewisharlingtonbelmont.com. Again, that's jewisharlingtonbelmont.com.
ACMi News contacted Massachusetts Peace Action, a group advocating for the Palestinian cause, to get their take on what's happening thousands of miles away. A statement from the MPA website states, quote, Massachusetts Peace Action is saddened by the loss of life on both sides of the Israel-Palestine conflict. We condemn the use of violence against Israeli and Palestinian civilians. The escalating violence we are seeing today is unfortunate but unsurprising. What is needed now is an immediate ceasefire and de-escalation. We reject the framing of this event as unprovoked. 2 million Palestinians in Gaza have been under a brutal Israeli siege since 2007 and periodically attacked by overwhelming Israeli military assaults. We have requested an on-camera interview from the folks at MPA, and we're looking forward to hearing back from them in the very near future.
State police say roughly 24 members of the neo-Nazi group NSC 131 protested outside Governor Maura Healey's Arlington home on Saturday, October 14th, reportedly chanting anti-immigrant slogans. This, according to BostonGlobe.com. And, according to a report by Your Arlington, the protesters wore masks and were identified as members of the New England-based group. WBZ-TV reported that the group chanted, quote, New England is ours, the rest must go. ACMi News contacted Governor Healey's office and received an immediate reply via email. Quote, these neo-Nazis and white supremacists are trying to scare people from exercising their rights and standing up to their hate. We won't tolerate it in Massachusetts. Local, state, and federal law enforcement will hold accountable perpetrators of violence and those who threaten violence, and will keep our communities and residents safe, end quote. No arrests were made as a result of the protest. Healey, you may recall, moved into her partner's Arlington home earlier this year.
A fox that was rehabilitated by a Chelmsford organization after it lost a leg to an illegal animal trap in Arlington has been successfully released back into the wild. You may recall the fox, named Phoenix, stepped into a trap near the Arlington-Lexington town line. Its injuries were so bad, Phoenix needed immediate surgery to remove its leg earlier this month. Phoenix was under the care of Newhouse Wildlife Rescue, as he got used to life with 3 legs. Meantime, Arlington police are looking for those who set the illegal leg traps. ACMi News told you about another fox that was caught in a leg trap recently in the same area, the Lexington-Arlington line. Newhouse is offering a $5,000 reward for information that helps identify a suspect. If you have any information on who's setting the traps, you're asked to call them at 781-643-1212. Again, that's 781-643-1212.
Arlington's special town meeting is underway as of this week. It began Tuesday night, October 17th at Town Hall and continued on Thursday, October 19th. On night 1, town meeting members took a vote on 8 articles, which included zoning bylaw amendments on things like open space, step back, and corner lot requirements. Starting the following week, special town meeting will convene every Monday and Wednesday from 8 p.m. to 11 p.m. until all articles have been decided upon. As we've been reporting, proposed MBTA communities zone bylaws are now under consideration at this special town meeting. And this issue has caused a lot of passionate debate. Town moderator Greg Christiana tells us he has taken additional measures to lower the temperature in the room if things get heated.
I'll be preparing as well, and we'll be doing something a little bit different, a little bit novel as far as the debate on that article, where I've asked town meeting members if they given the opportunity to register in advance if they have questions or comments that they would like to make either in favor or in opposition, or they just have questions, to give them some options for registering their intention to speak in advance with the intention of taking a little bit of that pressure off that folks might feel when they're sitting in the seats. And the speaking queue opens when an article starts. If you've ever watched a town meeting, we started using the handsets in the spring so folks can click in through their handset to request to speak, but then folks are clicking in right away, and they might click multiple times and accidentally remove themselves from the speaking queue, and there could be some confusion, a lot of anxiety, stress about that, and so I'm taking steps to try to mitigate some of those anxieties or stresses on the town meeting members by allowing them to register to speak in advance. And so it'll be a little bit more complicated for me. I'll be working from 2 speaking queues that I'll be juggling during that debate. And I plan to be fully open and transparent about how that's happening. And so it'll be a new element. We'll see how that goes. I'll do my best to kind of manage the logistics of that complexity. But anything we can do to kind of take the temperature down so that the meeting can actually focus on the substantive issues and work through those and come to an informed decision as a meeting, I'm going to be willing to try those measures.
And you can get the latest on what's happening at Town Hall as town meeting progresses. Just go to the town website, arlingtonma.gov/townmeeting. Again, that's arlingtonma.gov/townmeeting.
The October weather Saturday, October 14th was just right for what else? Oktoberfest. The old Schwam Mill once again served as the perfect backdrop for this celebration of the Schwam family's German heritage. And the greatest blessing from all this? The first New England Saturday without rain in approximately 467 years, give or take a decade.
Oom-pah music, German food, events for kids, and much more. What better way to welcome the season of autumnal delights? Once again, the old Schwam Mill staged a scrumptious affair, complete with scavenger hunts, mill tours, and dancing to the traditional music of the groove miners and the modern sounds of, sure, why not?
The weather gods definitely favored us this year. But yeah, I'm actually amazed at the number of folks turning out, and there's a lot of great vendors and things. There are pretzels and potato dumplings and
an oom-pah band.
And an oom-pah band, yeah.
What is an Oktoberfest without an oom-pah band?
Well said, well said.
Yeah.
And what's an Oktoberfest without grilled bratwurst from Monotony Grill, fresh-baked pretzels from Swiss Bakers, and pastries from Fraulein's Bakery? And need we say, German craft beer from the Arlington Brewing Company.
Today we have 4 different beers, but we've got 16 recipes that we've been making, and we just kind of rotate through them. So we've got our flagship, which is a SPI-PA. It's a hazy New England style IPA. And then we've got a whole bunch of different varieties because we want to make beer that everybody likes, and everyone's got different tastes in beer, so we try to address the incredible variety that beer has to offer.
Thousands of people turned out this year for this much anticipated event, which celebrated the Schwam family's German roots. In 1838, Jacob Schwam had emigrated from Germany to Boston, the first of the Schwam brothers to come to the United States and settle here in this country. By 1857, 6 of the 7 Schwam brothers would come to America, settle here, and according to family lore, they were very dedicated Americans. The proof is right there.
It's Oktoberfest in honor of the German heritage of the Schwams that started the mill. We have this Oktoberfest, and it's our biggest fundraiser of the year, but it's also a great way for people to find out about the mill and also a lot of the agencies that are coming here for the food and drink.
And a marvelous time was had by all, and unlike last year's event, this year it wasn't pouring this Saturday. Well, from the skies anyway. For ACMi News, I'm Jeff Barnes.
Cheers.
Have you ever been to the old burying ground in Arlington? If you haven't, you owe it to yourself to go. On Tuesday, October 17th, area history librarian Stephen Prochet conducted a fascinating tour of these hallowed grounds. This historic cemetery was established in 1724 and is just behind the First Parish Unitarian Church in Arlington Center. ACMi News Director Jeff Barn joined 15 other tour goers who were captivated by all the stories left behind by those who came before.
A misty, overcast fall day, the perfect backdrop for more than a dozen area residents as they uncovered some of the more intriguing mysteries that have occupied the old burying ground for 3 centuries. The Whittemores and Cutters, brothers and sisters, the rich and the poor, 18th and 19th century slaves, all now equally share this hallowed parcel of land forever.
This cemetery, really brings out a lot of early American history that not everyone's aware of. This was where the deadliest fighting happened, where we had our monument, and where we have the people who told that story. But it also gives the darker sides of American history with the monument to the enslaved and free people of color that was just erected this year. I don't think the role of slavery in the northern colonies is mentioned enough, and that's very important to explain.
These historic grounds reveal so much if you know where to look. A rendering of the eternal afterlife on some weather-worn stones. The familiar haunting images of life after death that dot the New England countryside. Jason Russell and his fellow patriots are also here, along with the remains of the young, hungry, and frightened redcoats who killed him. Many of the British dead from the first day of our Revolutionary War, the Battle of Menominee here in Arlington, April 19, 1775, were buried along this stone wall here in unmarked graves, an area that usually was reserved for enslaved people. Now, these graves were just feet away from what used to be a babbling brook going between Library Way and Pleasant Street. That brook is no longer. Instead, what has taken its place is a crushed stone walkway for people to come in and out of this very historic cemetery.
I'm a New Englander and I like history, local history. And it was just interesting. And, being a New Englander, I still go to my relatives in Brattleboro, Vermont and Wilmington, Vermont. And for Memorial Day, my mother always put out the geraniums and I do that now.
I feel like it's such an interesting area. I know it's an older burial ground, and I've been interested in seeing historical graveyards in the past. And when I've walked by, I've seen the headstones, this sort of skull with wings. I'm like, that looks really interesting. But I didn't know anything about it, and so I was really excited to learn more about what was going on in here and really get a sense of the history of Arlington.
A major part of Arlington's history is all here. And like a good book, these ancient grounds have the ability to close us off from the noise of modern-day society and tell us a story about ourselves, if you know where to look.
Afterwards, I wanted to also spend a little time just kind of walking around and looking at the graves and sort of thinking about the history that we were just told about.
For ACMi News, I'm Jeff Barn.
The earliest gravestones at the old burying ground date to 1736. Prochet's tour also showcases history sources that can easily be accessed from Arlington's Robbins Library. For more information, just go to the library website, robbinslibrary.org. Again, that's robbinslibrary.org.
We are just 2 weeks away from the Arlington International Film Festival, which will take place November 2nd through the 5th at the Capitol Theater on Mass Ave. This is a chance for so many film directors, producers, and actors to feature films that have a profound impact on all of us. Films from all over the world. Here's a quick peek now at just some of the many independent films playing at this year's Arlington International Film Festival. And just a reminder, the Arlington International Film Festival will be at the Capitol Theater at 204 Mass Ave, November the 2nd through the 5th. ACMi News Director Jeff Barnd will MC this year's festival. For all the information you need to know about this year's fest, just go to their website, aiffest.org. Again, that's aiffest.org. We hope to see you there.
A 16-year-old accused of witchcraft. Dark circumstances and sick rumors lead to her brutal death, a cover-up, and more murders 20 years later. And the plot hasn't even begun to thicken. All this from the mind of Arlington author Gary Braver, aka Gary Goshgarian, the author of 6 critically acclaimed suspense novels. Gary celebrated the launch of his new book, Rumor of Evil, at Maxima Books in Lexington last week. Like other authors, Gary says his ideas come from watching a particular movie or TV show, or maybe reading the newspaper. In this novel, there are the all-too-real elements like bullying. There's the bully's profile, and then there are the victims.
The profile of the bullied is always a kid who is different. He can be too fat, too skinny, too tall and gangly. He may walk with a limp or speak with a stutter or an accent or a lisp. The behavior is often odd. They may be very shy and very inward. They may dress oddly in terms of the norm, of the accepted norms of adolescence. They may be from a different socioeconomic stratum. They may be poor. They may be of a different religious or ethnic background. In a word, they are the outsider.
A lot of folks showed up to buy what Gary had to write and hear what he had to say. You can purchase Rumor of Evil on Amazon.com or wherever good books are sold.
And the local authors just keep on writing. Countless studies have shown that owning a pet, like a dog or cat, can significantly improve our own mental and physical well-being. But what happens when your beloved pet passes on? After all, they are a member of the family. A new book by an Arlington author helps pet owners to cope when the grieving process begins. Her name is E.B. Bartels. She's an avid pet owner and has spent the last 10 years off and on writing about coping with the loss and preserving the great memories that our beloved pet unselfishly gave to us.
It's a narrative nonfiction book about the things people do to mourn and remember their pets after they pass away and to celebrate their lives and how much they love their animals. I write about pets that I had when I was a kid all the way through, now, and I think part of what I love about nonfiction is like your whole life becomes your research. People love animals, and unfortunately animals don't live as long as we want them to, and so I hope that this book will always be available for people as be a comforting element. It was interesting because I got a lot of pushback where people said, if readers love animals, why would they want to read a book about animals dying? Which I understand. Like, I know people who are like, oh gosh, like a dog gets hurt in that movie, I can't watch it. And I understand that's true for some people, but I found when I told people what I was writing about, usually people were really excited to share with me, like, oh my gosh, we had this amazing funeral for my cat and the whole neighborhood came and it really made me feel better. And I've really loved hearing those stories. Yeah. And I found that, I have found my niche of people because they're like excited to share those things and talk about those things.
Bartels says that we've long followed traditions to mark the passing of our fellow humans, but most cultures don't have the same for pets. This is a groundbreaking book penned by an Arlington author. You can find Good Grief on Amazon.com or wherever books are sold. Of course, as we all know, Summer, it was Stephen King who said, books are a uniquely portable magic.
That is very true, James. And it was Jane Austen who said, if a book is well written, I always find it too short.
Touché. And of course, it was Garrison Keillor who said, a book is a gift you can open again and again.
And it was Summer Maxwell who said, we're out of time.
Quite right. That'll do it for this week's edition of ACMi News. I'm James Milan.
And I'm Summer Maxwell, and unfortunately, we are out of time. Thanks so much, as always, for joining us, and have a great week, everybody.
You can always check out our latest segments and newscasts on the web at acmi.tv/news. And don't forget to like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter and Instagram at ACMi News. Make sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel as well. You'll find us at youtube.com/ACMi News. If you have any news tips for us or wish to become a citizen journalist, we'd love to hear from you. Email us at news@acmi.tv or stop by ACMI Studio A at 85 Park Avenue.